Okay, got to do another one. To make a long story short, I guess I'm just like the eons of other people that my brain's heart and soul are just scattered all over freaking the universe. So it's like, I have no clue. I'm trying to think like an example. Just think of the whole world caving in, fire coming from the sky in every which direction, and no matter which way you turn or go, you're screwed. You're trying to think of what the hell, where to go, and anyways, also I gotta say up front that again, the reason I do it with this mask on is just because of Satan's people out there that just gotta talk crap about what you look like, about where you're from, whatever BS they can come up with, because they don't speak the truth ever. Instead to them, it's where were you born? Where'd you grow up? What does your mom look like? Did you go to school? They twist the subject to make saying stuff right, to make what you're saying wrong, even though they know it's the truth. But that's how they are. And of course, we knew this was coming just because of how many of Satan's people are out there. There would be people who would talk crap. I mean, even people that will go to her videos and interviews and do that thumbs down thing. And I'm like, who the freaking hell would have a thing against, Dolores? Why would you turn your computer on, go out of your way to your computer, turn it on, go to the website, go to the page just so you could do a thumbs down thing? Anyways. And there was going to be more that would even say something beyond that. And, well, this is how Satan's people are. Because Dolores was a Christian, a true Christian. You see her videos, her interviews. They got songs against doing drugs, against, suicide, teen suicide. Her interviews were all about, one interview I saw where some guy asked her, so are you still getting guys asking you to marry you? And she goes, no, I love you still, but not marriage because they know I'm married and I'm off the market, And her songs were all about staying 100% true, to her husband. She denied the Hollywood and New York scene, said, no, I don't want to be a part of your guys' world at all, just because there's too much crap there. And I've read articles online where they said, luckily they were famous enough they didn't have to. They didn't have to deal with Hollywood or the New York entertainment world. They could, record their albums, go on tour, and make it, do their thing and not have to have anything to do with this. So she was totally against, the whole drug thing, people taking their lives from being depressed. And I guess as a testament to that, she became depressed. I guess Lucifer taught God into it, Job style. Oh, well, she's saying all this stuff against, depression. How about, let me freaking just pour a freaking waterfall of depression on her. And, let's see about this. And God, the way he is, and this is where I'm just going to be a mushroom cloud as far as God goes. Because I'm like, you know what? There are eons of people out there who've gotten their proof that what you say about yourself just isn't what it is. That's what you want everyone to think, but that's not what it is. And this just pushes that straight off over the cliff. I'll just use myself as an example, but I know I'm not the only one. And I know there's mass others that have had worse, including Dolores and all those like her, girls that have been molested. I was raised in a massive abusive home. I had to leave before I finally killed this pig that I had to live with. To the point to where my dad was like, yeah, go ahead and go. Because he knew if I stayed, she would probably end up dead, this thing he married, within the next few days or something like that. Or it could have been that night, But I was never raped. I didn't have that extra, whatever you call it. And even though everyone says girls are stronger in some ways, because they give birth and whatever like that. When it comes to like war, and emotional, seriously trauma, No, they're not built like that. Women are built to love and be loved, and everything's nice and peaches and daisies and whatever, to where just regular stuff happening in the world, not even to them, is too much for them. And Dolores was strong. She was as far as women go, she was freaking Iron Woman. But I think God put too much on her, just from what we know, factually, from what we actually really know. I saw an interview where she said she freaked out and tried to commit suicide in '03. And I was just like, I didn't even know this. I'm one of those that basically kept my distance, because I'm like, once I found out who they were, and I looked into actually that's what I was doing, looking into the Cranberries, saying, all right, what are these guys about? For some reason, this song is sticking with me. It feels like a guide thing. Like, he's like, no, dude, there's something up here. This isn't just another band. This isn't like the Pretenders or whoever. There's whatever, something, definitely more. I'm trying to like get the wording exactly right, hitting the nail on the head. And so I looked into it, and I of course saw right away, okay, well, these guys' thing, they want to be a love song band, which there's a zillion of them, which isn't my scene at all. Just be upfront. I'm from the real super heavy music scene. Anything that's like equal to an atomic bomb going off, is like my thing. That's everybody in the super heavy scene. They just like that, kind of sound and feeling, where the stadium floor is rumbling, and that's what's going off. Originally it was, I guess rock and roll, when it got heavier with Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, and, there was a whole metal stage, all those metal bands, Judas Priest and that, they were just headbangers, and that, I guess me being a guy that's, I guess you can say super intense, ride motocross, I'm into the craziest, wildest stuff. So when I heard about the Cranberries, I was like, okay, and by that time, because music was such a thing in my life, I wanted to be a pro musician, so I tried to go for it, be a pro drummer, play guitar, but it was always the real super heavy stuff. But when you're a musician that loves the art, that knows that you can't just, if you're going to be a musician, a real one, you got to be a writer. And you got to know what to write and how to write. You got to get that feeling, whether you're playing something super technical or something super easy. And of course in the heavy scene, they want to always be as technical as possible. Fill in as much as possible. Just make it like where it's a zillion freaking A-bombs going off at the same time. Not just one. And, but you come across people, a song here or there, where you're like, whoa, that's not this scene at all, but that's good. There was the one song forever ago of that Leanne Rimes did of Blue. I mean, even though that was like a country love song, everybody in the heavy scene at first was like, oh yeah, whatever. Because, we had our singers, that were great. There's Halford and Dio, in the metal scene, just that were full on. But it took a while to sink in, and it finally sunk in. We're like, Leanne Rimes is good. That girl's actually happening. And then there was the others, of course, Mariah Carey. Everybody right away was like, yeah. Even people that hate that kind of music, they're like, yeah, Mariah's good. She's, happening. And of course, there's Sarah Brightman, you can't deny. You're just like, well, Sarah Brightman's just flat out badass. No matter what your scene or style is, you just can't deny that no matter what you want. So anyways, guys in the metal scene I've talked to in the super heavy scene, certain names come up and they're like, yep, they knew what to do. They're writers, great writers. Guns N' Roses couldn't really play but they were great writers, at least that first album. Pearl Jam, they were like the perfect band for selling zillions of records. Their style. And anyways, everybody in the super heavy scene knows this. So the Cranberries come along and they're like, okay, well, these guys aren't shredders and all that. And at first, who knows how many bands were like, because I had a friend tell me the other day, he's like, dude, I brought them up to you in '94, and you like actually talk crap, said something like, how come your favorite bands were always Table Fruit? And I could see me saying that as a joke, but that's it. It would be a joke, because when you hear one song, it's like reading one verse of a Bible, and then somebody's saying, okay, what do you think of the Bible? It's like, dude, I just read one verse, Especially if you don't know anything about God in the Bible. You read the one verse about God having Moses part the ocean, you're like, get the hell out of here. You know, who's this guy? And with this, this, whatever. You're just going to be like, this isn't all that. But once you know the Bible and you know God, you know the rest of it, then you're like, whoa, this is it. And that's kind of the same deal with the Cranberries, because, if it went like how he said, because my memory's not the same as his. My memory is first time I heard them on the radio, I instantly, when I heard her voice is what it was. And it was Zombie. Whatever I was daydreaming about and whatever, I was thinking, it was in the car radio. And I think I was flipping channels to find something, and I just happened to hit right there at the perfect time with her voice going off in Zombie. And I instantly turned it up, stopped thinking about anything, and just listened with all the intent I had. Of course, I didn't, forget everything else because I was driving, so I didn't wreck. But, thank God at the end of the song, they said who it was, the Cranberries. And so I couldn't wait to get back home and check MTV. So as soon as I got home, as soon as I could, I got home, I turned on MTV, and I just stood there waiting, because I'm like, the song that good, they better already have a video, or I better hear something about them. Well, I'm just going to stand here till I do. And it didn't even take an hour. And it came on, and I found out. And then I was like, wow, who is this? And this is before the internet. I know it is. No, it was. But I started telling people, I'm like, have you guys heard of this band, Cranberries? And most everybody was like, no, dude, who are you talking about? And the only one who knew was my sister. And she was like, dude, I love them. You're just finding out about them now? And so to make a long story short, I was like, you know what? Anytime I can find something out about them, I'm going to, And then the time came where I could. This is where my brain's foggy. I've had too much happen in my life. My brain, I remember pretty much everything, but then some things I don't. I don't know how to explain it. But I remember when I first looked them up, I found right away that it was her. I was like, yeah, the band's cool. They're the foundation. But this freaking deluxe mansion that's sitting on that foundation is her. And I just kept getting bits and pieces, because this wasn't when they had the internet. You just found out who she was. And surprisingly, I never heard she was married. I didn't know all this until actually lately, when God put in me, and I'm not going to go on with my own personal story for here, because I want to get back to the tabloid crap. I think I mentioned already, or I know I did. But, all I found out was who she was, and I was like, I got to keep my distance here, because this girl is that freaking happening, that if I get into finding out, all of her, who she is, get deeper into this, I'm just going to think the world of this girl, and it's going to ache. It's like sitting there starving to death, standing across, I don't know what you call it, a street or something like that, with this huge table full of food, and you're just standing there starving, and you can't go across the street and get it, because that was my take on it. It's like, you know what, this girl's rich, famous, everybody in the world guaranteed loves her. She's got people from all over the place coming after her, trying to talk to her and see if they could be the one, yada yada. I mean, look, I'm nobody. I'm this nobody from nowhere. Even if she was across town right now, maybe I could get out there. But if she was in the next state, forget it. There's no way I could make it there. Even if it was like, dude, if you make it to the next state within such and such time, before tomorrow morning, you got a shot. There's no way. So I just stuck to my scene, because that's my world anyways. Anytime something came up about them, I'd listen. I wouldn't run away, but I wouldn't go out of my way to find stuff either, because I'm like, that girl's just too freaking happening. But you just don't think this is going to happen. I have to admit that lately they've been coming to mind a lot, mainly her. And I figured it was God telling me, that, hey, dude, let me just put her name in your head. Let me just put her in your head. And at first I was like, hey, cool, thanks, right on. Believe me, I'll keep an eye open. I couldn't go see them before because I didn't have the money. They came to town, and I was like, well, either if I go see them, I'm not going to have money for food for the rest of the week or something. So I didn't go. So even though I really wanted to, I, financially couldn't. common sense wise, shouldn't have. But now I'm like, if I would have known this, I would have sold something, and went. If I would have known this was coming. And I just thought, I'll go see him next year. That was my deal. I was like, well, they'll guaranteed come next year or the 1 year after, and I'll go see him then. Which didn't happen because God has to have my freaking life get A-bombed, every 10 feet. So I have to pick up and move towns or move cities or move states, just to keep from going under. You don't even want to know. But the tabloid crap, everybody has to realize, see, and this is how they work. They're good. Satan's people are good. They know how to make something look like it's true. They'll write up a website that no one's ever heard of before, make it look like it's been around forever, and write up a song about how she OD'd and she did herself, She just went and got a bunch of fentanyl that her back was so bad. I'm like, get the fuck, I want to find these people and just beat their freaking ass. Because there's all the proof in the world that that's not her, never would have been her, and guaranteed they're going to put that out because I think, honestly, the royal family did it. To me, if she was at a state of doing herself, God would have been screaming at me, which he should have been anyways. I'm putting this on him. He's got that thing of, oh, give your troubles to me. Like, you know what? Well, this one I'm going to take a stick and shove in your mouth because this is astronomical. I mean, to be honest, you can't do this. That's the bottom line truth. This is like you telling Abraham to murder his kid and then making him do it. If you are who you are, no, you don't do this. And if this is coming, you tell people, everybody that's close to her and that loves her, which is freaking millions on millions on millions, even in London alone, guaranteed there was somebody within 100 yards of that girl that if God would have told them something's about to happen to her, get over there and save her, they would have dropped what they were doing and went and did whatever was needed. So I'm figuring, I figure there's someone in England that's like that. Maybe not, because look what's happening they're all letting freaking Islams take over, and how many other women have been raped, and they elected freaking, what's her freaking piece of crap in office, I mean, Germany's worse, they elected Merkel back. But England should be filling the streets now with protests over their country and what's going on. So I don't know. Maybe in England everyone's like, well, if she dies, whatever she dies, I don't want to go out of my way and do nothing. But here in America, we got people that'll throw down over a freaking food stamp, and especially when it matters. They like to let God, let God's ways run its course and live by law, so they will let things go for a while, because we just have to have the rule of law. But once enough is enough, it's enough. And people are going to do something. If Hillary would have won that last election, we would already be way into and probably over with civil war and revolution in that. And they're ready to go again. If they pull some crap and try to get Trump out of office in any way, actually get him out, you guys are going to see America erupt, and they just ain't going to make it. So in this country, especially when it comes to someone like her, we're just like, dude, what do you need? Talking to God. You need a crucifixion? Let's go. Where's the nails and wood? Do you want me to go get it? Just you hammer the nails. You make sure that that's what it is. That's what we're doing. If you want a crucifixion to straighten this out, to bring this girl back, because if you keep this girl, which I have to admit, well, I'll finish that, what I was going to say. If you keep this girl, then you know what? 99.99999% of that book, what you have in there, is just BS. You've done one thing here and one thing there for certain people, but that isn't who you are. You did it for show. For like show and tell. Just to say, look what I could do, look at me, I got all the power. That's not who you really are. Because in all of the other cases, I could think of a reason why you didn't raise them back from the dead. Like Martin Luther King, he cheated on his wife like crazy. He just wasn't worthy. He talked the talk, but he didn't walk the walk. Whitney Houston, we all know what happened to her. She went totally off into the drug satanic world, and so when she died, she did do it to herself. The others we know, Kurt Cobain, shoots himself in the head. You have to let things stand as they are, in a lot of sense, because otherwise, it'll be on him to resurrect everybody. Every time somebody's hurt over somebody dying, then it's on him. But Dolores was completely different. This girl loved God. She told the world about it. The proof was out there. They were like, well, where did you get this from? Like, within yourself. And she's like, I loved God. I sang in the choir. I just loved it. She didn't curse in none of her songs. She didn't curse on stage. I saw an interview where she said she went into a dark place. There again, I'm like, how does that happen? Without God, I guess, telling Lucifer, yeah, go ahead, possess her, send your demons to get inside of her and jack things up, which she was just a girl, She wasn't Christ. And there again, Christ, his life was nothing like Dolores's or any others they've had. He didn't get molested, He was chosen and he was it, and his parents knew it, so which means he got, well, let's just say, more than peripheral treatment, He probably got everything in the world handed to him on a silver platter, polished twice, Where Dolores, if you really think about it, where she lives in Ireland, if you look it up, Limerick, it's way out in the freaking boons. It's outside of a town, which you have to think back to her childhood. It wasn't as big as it was. I mean, we're talking like, these families live out in the Ozarks in Arkansas or Kansas. Maybe not that bad. But, they got their own world out there, and they don't call the cops ever. There ain't no fire department out there. Nothing ever happens, and if anything ever does happen, the only things that are getting prosecuted are like serious robberies or murders. But something like child molestation, they kind of like, everybody sweeps under the rug. And if you listen to Ode to My Family, she kind of says that. She says, look, I love you guys. And the song, basically the sound of the song is like, I love my family to death and they love me to death. But the words are like, I loved you, but did you love me? And then it says, who really cares? Because as a kid, when she was getting molested, she was putting out all the clues. She didn't want to, get in trouble. She was a kid. Little kids, they don't know. They think they're going to get in trouble when they tell the parents the truth, especially about something that another grown-up is doing, because kids always get told grown-ups know everything you don't. You don't know anything. So they get in their heads that the grown-ups are the ones that are right, and I'm this nobody, and I can't do nothing about nothing. I'm just a little kid. So here she is, a little girl, probably letting the clues out all over the place. Look, what's happening? You guys going to do anything about this? And it looks like the family was kind of like, look, just deal with it, or don't bring it up. I don't want to hear it, whatever. Because she says, my mom held me, or did she hold me? Did she love me, or did she loathe me? I mean, it's like, whew. And you see later on in interviews how she loved her mom, she told, because that's her. Dolores was nothing but love, which is why this is so huge. That girl didn't do nothing but love, and love deeper than this world deserves. Her love was so huge. And there again, some people are going to say, yeah, dude, but she stood up for gay marriage. I'm like, well, she was raised in the Catholic Church. When she went through her molestation thing, they even asked her in another interview, how'd you get through that? She says, I held on to God. She says, I joined the church. I totally took in every single word that there was of God, took it as religion, which is what it is, full on 100% absorbed it into who and what she was. That's what she did. Now the Catholic Church, everybody knows they got a huge freaking homosexual problem, with people even running it that are homosexual. So of course they ain't coming out and saying, oh, this verse right here that says homosexuality is an abomination, they got to be put to death. They ain't saying that. Instead, they're like coming out with, oh, don't judge nobody, you can't judge nobody. They're turning it into that. They turn it into that. So the reason Dolores thought a few certain things is because that's what she was taught. That, and her being a girl, because everybody knows how women have more emotional minds than men. Men think more logical. Women go with their feelings. They'll read the chapter, if they do, where God wipes out Sodom and Gomorrah for accepting homosexuality as normal. Then she comes across a priest that says, look, just don't judge people. She's going to go with her feelings. Because the whole wiping out a whole civilization or two major cities, because of that, you know, it's too hard on her. Besides the fact she's not going to think of all the details. You know, girls just don't do that. Sorry, that's just how it is. They think of what's on the surface, you know, what's on the cover of the book. And if they get into the book at all and it's hard, forget it. So put the book down and we'll just think what's on the cover, because that's nice and easy. That's all we're going to do. So, and besides with everything going on in Dolores' life anyways, I mean, she's an international star, you know. She's got people calling constantly. There's always something going on with work-related or people that want to know her and talk to her and be around. It's just, being in that situation, you almost don't have a second of rest. You have to have security and pay like all sorts of extra money just to like probably sleep normal and not have anybody, you know, banging on your door at any time, all time of the night. You know, because people will do that. You know, there's just people out there who just have no couth. You know, they'll see her somewhere and she'll be in the middle of eating and they'll like, oh, look, come on, stop eating. I just got to talk to you. I got to hug you. I got to whatever. But the tabloid crap, don't even buy into it. I've seen it, enough of it already, where people are out there saying she OD'd herself. Another one said that she was going from hostile to hostile. I mean, it was one of those computerized voice things. And I'm just thinking, man, you punk asses. You guys are like the people that, like, after Christ was murdered, you walked out saying, oh, yeah, I heard he was gay and I heard he had sex with animals. Just thinking, talking all the worst crap you could think of as funny. And I'm just like, you know what? Judgment Day is actually really quick. We're coming soon. Sooner than you think it could be right now. And to me, that's like the only way this gets redeemed, is if like Judgment Day is tomorrow freaking morning. You know, if it's tomorrow morning, then okay. But if it's not before, you know, if it's like tomorrow afternoon, nope, too late. Too late. You know, and anyways, I've been thinking of all the aspects of this, of why God allowed this to happen or had it happen, whatever it was, because I keep asking him, what happened? No, you tell me. Because you eventually get to the truth and tell me. I've got a bunch of incidents like this. You know, he likes to wait till it's too late, till it's way over and done with. Then he comes out with the truth, and it's like, you know, if anybody operated like you did, you'd just wipe the whole planet out. You know, waiting until it's too late. Like we just go off and do all the drugs we want and get into orgies and, you know, just do all the craziest crap. And then when we die, go, okay, now I'll be good. Now I'll do it. No, that isn't how you work. You know? So why do you do that with us? You know? And I guess I got to say this. I'm kind of like going with what I should do. You know, trying to feel in me like what I should do. But I had her come to mind over and over again, like every couple days or something. Maybe a couple times, like, you know, a few days in a row, she would come to mind. And at first I thought he was just telling me that like they're coming to town and don't miss them this time. You know, you missed the last time or two. This time, do not miss. And I'm like, hey, cool. Believe me, I'm in. If they come to town or if anything, whatever it is you're saying, I'm in. But then she kept coming to mind, and I was like, okay, cool. Thanks for reminding me. Thanks for making sure I know. You know. And that, but I believe me, I got it. That's on my front burner. That's on my front page, front whatever. You know, I'm just gonna keep my eyes and ears open for them. Just anything about them, you know. Believe me, I'm all over it. But it kept coming to mind, and finally I was like, dude, is something wrong? Is something up or going on with her? And remember, I basically kept myself out of the loop, so I don't remember. I didn't even know about like the suicide in '03. Or her having back problems, or none of that. I just, if anything, I just kept up like with what came around, with what the Cranberries were doing, their songs. You know, whatever song came out, I'd hear it and be like, you know, for being somebody from the super heavy scene, that's a classic. You know, When You're Gone. I mean, that song, since I've heard of this, of her passing, I've just had that on YouTube. And at work on my phone all day. You know, anything Cranberries, live, you know, interviews, just that's all I listen to. That's all I do. Nothing else. And when I think about this, like, why is it this big of a deal? Because I was totally out of the loop. It wasn't like I'm somebody close to her, in her family, in her circle, or nothing like that. I'm like this pretty far out there outsider without being totally outside. And it's God telling me this girl was love. This girl was like the most beautiful woman on the planet, and she got taken. And if you care about what matters, then you're going to care like how you should care. And that's when I just like, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to, I'm going to find out everything now. I'm going to look up to, whatever. If there's a picture of this girl's toe on the freaking internet, I'm saving it. You want to go all the way? Let's go all the way. So that's when I just started looking, checking everything out, all the interviews and all the everything. And then it started stacking up. I'm like, and she died? You took her? I mean, dude, Charles Manson, how long did he live? Richard Speck. How about all these other guys on death row, that have murdered mass, they've done all this crap, and we're paying for it. Our tax dollars are paying for them to, live and eat and not starve. And they got any emotional problems? We got government people in there, running in there to make sure they're emotionally okay. Are you freaking kidding me? And you took Dolores? I got to go back to what I was saying earlier about the royal family. If you know anything about the royal family or England, that crown, put it that way, the crown. They actually think they should be able to murder anybody, anytime, anywhere. And if you even ask about it, well, then you need to be murdered. Because don't you know who we are? We're the crown, Just look at how many countries they'd have tried to take over and enslave and own them, and how many people they murdered in doing so. And this is okay to them, There's the one movie, what is it, Gandhi? Where, yeah, that's what it is, it's Gandhi. Where they sent English military in, wiped out a whole freaking town. There's some huge well in the middle of the thing for the whole city. Everyone started jumping into it. Not one person attacked the English whatsoever. And the queen and the hierarchy, the crown people were like, well, didn't anybody throw a rock? Didn't anybody do anything we could blame them for? And they're like, not one. Not one of them. We just butchered them, and not one of them even raised a hand to us. And they're mad because nobody threw a rock back. They're like, well, somebody had to do something. This is England's state of mind. At least that freaking crown. So when the zombie